Hello, folks. Stuff pops up on my feed. This is kind of an on the radar thing. Stuff pops up on my notifications on my phone from Substack and also from Medium. I follow those two things at the moment. I get stuff from YouTube as well and so on. But anyway, one thing I was looking at today was a discussion about metamodernism and critique of that by an Irish philosopher who has an interesting channel. I'll put it in the description. That's interesting to me because I was really into the meaning making thing and all this kind of stuff for quite a while, and burned out on it a bit because it just seemed to have made its point, and then nothing happens after that, and so you lose your enthusiasm for it because you kind of learn the mental model, the perspective, the way of looking at and analyzing the world and things. And once you understand it, you're like, okay, where do we go from here, right? And so I just went on to some other reading, but I'm still involved with that. It's vexing. It's very difficult to indulge in some form of critique of metamodernism and at the same time ascertain its value as a philosophical exercise in the face of all the ongoing catastrophe. And I think the catastrophe started hundreds of years ago. So I'm more on an Eric Lee kind of point of view now. I'm so influenced in the sense that I can see how the dawn of civilization, or going way back to ancient times, and the earliest dawn of what we call modernity several hundred years ago, and then what we refer to as the Industrial Revolution, which really was a fossil fuel steam power revolution that then led to an industrial revolution, which led to a technological revolution, and so on and so forth. So we keep evolving. So progress from that sense, that point of view, progress is like better machines, better technology, and that includes better health care in certain ways, open heart surgery, stents, vaccines for HIV, vaccines for cancer, colorectal cancer. I mean, these things are coming along, and if we're around long enough, we'll make progress in these areas having to do with the natural sciences, stemming from the natural sciences. So we'll have progress like that. I have faith. I believe that we'll continually have that kind of progress as long as we have the energy and the large enough, human networks to facilitate the interactions needed between experts to innovate and develop complex technologies. And also it takes time to do real science. There's no heroes on the battlefield who are doing science. There's just a whole bunch of people working all the time. And every once in a while, a scientist will put two and two together and come up with some original idea. Beautiful minds. But those are few and far between. They tend to get all the attention, but it's really all the other people, the whole network. And it's a global network. So you see scientific papers all the time published with, Chinese authors and American and European and Russian authors, all on the same paper. So science transcends borders. So anyway, I get these things, philosophy is fun and interesting and all that, but I'm not sure it's going to help us all that much. Of course, if you're interested in it, then it's great. You should do it. If you're interested in badminton, you should play badminton. There's nothing wrong with indulging in philosophizing and creating new mental models. I mean, all the consultants that I was following, because that's their main job, are just coming up with new ways of saying the same old thing. And that's their stock and trade. It has to look new and original and novel, when really it's just a new configuration of an old thing. So what is old is new again, or what is new is old again. Anyway, this guy popped up. His name is Jeffrey Newton, and he put 2 and 2 together. MAGA versus reality. The start of the article, he talks about the Laschamp Event 43,000 years ago. And so I looked it up and trying to figure out, more about it, because I've heard of it but didn't know much about it. So it occurred roughly 42,000 years ago, involving a temporary reversal of the Earth's magnetic poles and a weakening of the magnetic field. So what happens then is you get more solar radiation coming to Earth, and that affects living things. All living things are impacted by it. So his idea is that that was one of the major cause of the extinction of Neanderthals and Denisovans. And we were clever enough from gossip to paint our faces and skin with ochre, which protected us from UV light, and lay down traps at dawn and collect food at dusk, thus avoiding the deadly midday sun, which rained solar radiation without the protection of the Earth's magnetic field. So he's making a lot of assumptions. You go back and you say, people are going, wow, it seems there's a lot more solar radiation, prehistoric people. Let's put ochre on. So anyway, I looked into that a bit, and there's no evidence, of course. How would you have evidence for that? People don't even know why Neanderthals and Denisovans went extinct, and it's probably for many reasons, like climate change and other things, competition with Homo sapiens and whatnot. And I was thinking that, so I read up on it a bit, and maybe breakthroughs through in paleogenetics will help. And so scientists analyze DNA from prehistoric remains like bones and teeth, and study the genetic relationships between various groups of ancient humans and species. It's a really interesting science, and it's really shedding a lot of light on population bottlenecks and sizes, and what diseases we had, ancient or not ancient, but prehistoric diseases and stuff. And ochre contains iron oxide, which is good as a sunscreen. But there was probably many reasons why Homo sapiens were putting ochre on their skin, not just like, I think we need to put on your sunscreen before you leave the cave, Billy. Not like that. So it wasn't like the land, they didn't know the Laschamp event happened, so it wouldn't drive them to put, ochre on. They're just gossiping about people getting skin cancer, They would notice over time that they needed to stay out of the sun, just like lions instinctively seek out the shade on the savannah, right? The Serengeti plain. We would seek out shade, but also our skin pigment was different, and we had darker skin back then. Anyway, he comes up with this interesting metaphor that human beings were, Homo sapiens, because of their gossip and social skills, were smart enough to locked themselves down in caves for 400 years. And that's how we survived and so on. Then his article goes into an interesting breakdown of all the feedback loops and the cascading events that are happening around the world that I like to obsess on. Donald Trump is swimming in a pool of sharks and piranha, even if he does not know it, who may flatter him on a daily basis, but would turn him in a heartbeat if the opportunity arises. And he brings up J.D. Vance. What do we do about it, right? And MAGA already knows, so I just said in my comment to him that, can we characterize prehistoric culture and living conditions as some form of lockdown? Animals do what they need to do to survive within natural limits. Homo sapiens had many advantages, which is why we have survived long enough to develop advanced civilizations and embark on the long road to our species' extinction, ironically caused by our exceptional ability to become the dominant and most energy-intensive species on Earth. I can't imagine stubborn MAGA folks being at all interested in these subjects. Wasn't the Earth created 6,000 years ago? This is not to say that all MAGA folks are young Earth creationists. For many devotees of the MAGA movement, the natural sciences is a hoax. And we are all locked down under the fantastic yoke of woke LGBTQ, SJWBLM, and politically correct neo-Marxist, feminist, postmodernist fanatics. MAGA is more concerned about ever having enough Christian nationalist Zionists to prepare the world for the second coming of Christ. Why would MAGA care about reality? MAGA has guns, God, first responders, and greater Israel. MAGA is bigger than Donald J. Trump now. It is the lens through which decent, God-fearing people can behold the absolute truth. MAGA knows that Satan works in mysterious ways and often lurks right out in the open, disguised as a Republican in name only. MAGA adherents understand that it will take strong, heroic men to defeat Satan with all the institutions in the United States of new miracles controlled by liberal, progressive communists. And remember, MAGA is engaged in fighting the terrorists flooding across our borders and worldwide. MAGA is also concerned about the many Chinese spies working for American corporations, alien drone attacks, Chinese electric cars, Chinese smartphones, Chinese spy balloons, and Chinese drone attacks, HB-1 visas, and foreigners at our liberal universities. MAGA has its hands full, but remember, MAGA has an abundance of thoughts and prayers that are needed to summon divine intervention to beat the onslaught of evil in the city on the hill. So, it's going to be that type of thing. People are going to believe what they want to believe and go about their business. You know, they're going to roll coal and buy big trucks. And it's going to be a lot of fun until panic ensues. But who knows when that happens, right? So the best thing to do is really enjoy yourself and be kind of good to each other, because that's the thing, really, isn't it? We live here and now, and we do what we got to do. And one thing we can do is be kind to each other. So have a good day. Have a nice Sunday. I'm going to watch some football. Take good care. Bouleanti out.